Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel God Will Do It For You. My name is Steven and I hope everybody's had a great week so far. We made it to another Friday. Pretty sure we've all had an interesting week. I have. And today, I like to get straight into the message because I talk a lot. But today we're going to be talking about how we should be preparing for our kingdom partners. And I'll also just give you some advice on what I did before God lined me up with who I'm definitely going to be with for the rest of my life. So what I've realized is a lot of people do ask for their kingdom partners, but really they're not showing God, hey, I am ready to be a spouse. They're still kind of doing single people things, even though they're not in a relationship. And I know you're like, well, but what I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, you're still fornicating, so, hey, you're like, hey, I have needs, this and that. I need to satisfy these needs. So, I'm going to utilize partners. Or let's say, hey, I'm not doing that, which is good, but, I'm really not disciplined. I'm not structured. I'm not, God-centered. I'm not living the life that I know I could be. Maybe my communication hasn't really evolved from who you used to be into who God desires you to be. Have you really been putting in the work in yourself so that when He presents that person to you, you'll be ready for them? Because the work that I've put in, I've had people last year, they've offered, to have relations, and I turned it down because I was like, well, I really don't want to have that type of connection with someone that I'm not going to be with. Having that type of relation with someone is a form of deep connection with me, and that's just something that I do not want to share with just anybody. And two people can get hurt doing that. So I just frowned upon that. I mean, God has tested me. I've had the option to do that. Even for some reason, people that were engaged offered it. So, I thought that was really shady because it's already a bad rap for people out here, just trying to find someone faithful. So the fact that that person was contributing to that, I was just like, all I could say to them was, hey, I'm sorry for whatever reason you're choosing to do this, but I hope everything gets better because, you're contributing to the problem. I also just really coming deep within and just saying, hey, God, change anything that you need to fix in me so that way I can be ready, being down in prayer, and also just coming across options that you're like, okay, I can see this being a good option. But if you see the signs and not settling, not just being like, what, I don't want to be alone that bad that, I can work with this. It's either if you want someone a particular type of way, that is okay, but also make sure that you pray and say, God, but I know that you will give me what I need. And a lot of the times too, sometimes we can be praying for someone that has the criteria, the career, this, that, and you may be omitting really good options. For instance, let's say a woman's like, well, I make really good money, I want this man to make really good money. Well, God brings a man across to you. He's like, I'm going to give you what you need. And maybe this man doesn't have six-figure money yet. Maybe God is getting ready to do something amazing in his life, but now you've X'd him out because he doesn't drive the type of car that you envision him driving. He doesn't have the six-figure job yet that you imagine. Omitting really the great qualities of what it really means to be a good man or a good woman. If he's a faithful man, if he's got God as a center, and he could prove it to you, meaning like based off the way he lives his life, he's structured, he's responsible. If he's a parent, he's in his child's life. So you omit all that because of money. You got to think about that. God elevates people all the time. You never know who you're standing next to. That could be the next millionaire that you just flicked off, and now you've lost out on the option. You're praying to God, come on, and he's saying to himself, I've given you good options, but it's not the way you envision it being packaged. So you've outcast it. So you're gonna wait. You're gonna wait. You're gonna wait until you realize that, hey, you have to get your mind right as far as what you envision a relationship should be. A relationship is not based off of money. People can come together and God can elevate you to get what he desires you to get. And it's the same thing for men with women. You can't have these super high expectations and then God presents really good options in front of you, but because it's not picture perfect, you just flick them off. And I'm not saying, hey, money isn't important. It is. But if this person they know God, if they're faithful, if they're showing you that they want to be committed, if they desire to be a spouse, if they're responsible, they're structured, I just don't see the problem. The way I encountered the person that I'm talking, that we're in a relationship with, it's truly an amazing feeling. And I used to be one of those people that would look at people on YouTube and be like, "They so god doggone unfortunate." I'm like, why are they so blessed to get that, this and that? God's not going to give you something that you can't handle. Anything that you mishandle, you will lose. You will lose it. So he has to make sure that the internal work is done. And then trust me, he will put that person in position so that way you two can come in contact with each other and the experience is effortless. It really is a beautiful thing. I've never really experienced something quite like this. And me and her talk about it all the time. We're like, I've never felt the connection as deep. To be able to speak about the Lord, and it's just effortless. To be able to be this level of compatibility. I want people to experience that. It is possible. So I used to be one of the people like, man, I don't know how they could do it. They just made videos months ago and they were single, and now they're like, I'm getting engaged. It's possible. So you have to also know that God does not do for one and not do for another. He wants to do the same thing for you. That should give you some, hey, this is possible for me too. That's why I love this channel's name, is God will do it for you. And like I told you all, that I'm going to be sharing my experiences so that way you don't feel like what he does for me or anyone else that you see is only solely for them. He will do it for all of his children, but he has to make sure that you are ready for it. He has to make sure that your heart is in the right place for it, because if all you're concerned about is money, I see it on social media all the time. These guys are like trying to flex how much money they have, this and that. And that's because a lot of the women that they are interested in care about that. And those relationships don't last. People are idolizing, like, oh, I hate that this celebrity didn't work out. These are people that got together because of money. Because of money. They didn't get together because they were compatible. They got together because they were attracted to each other. They're like, they both have money, so they won't want my money just in case it doesn't work out. You get what I'm saying? Money, 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 money. It's never going to work out. It's never going to work out. You have to have your mindset in the right place. Pray. It's okay to pray for what you want, but also in that prayer, but God, you know what I need. The person I have, I would have never dreamed it could come up together like this. It gave me what I wanted, but he also gave me what I needed. As far as expectations, as far as someone that understands that I'm a full-time single father, well, single as in not married yet, but he gave me someone that understands that, someone that wants to build a relationship with my child, someone that is understanding of all areas. It's kind of effortless. And now at the point, it's just the communication is just growing and growing and growing, the bond deepening, deepening, deepening. And I'm like, people should want to experience this. I know that you all do. You're like, yeah, I want to experience it. I've been ready. I'm this and that. Well, really search your heart, search your soul. Has your communication in the way that you desire to communicate evolved? Confrontational. You have to really think about these things, because when God has a single person that is his child, they're at peace already. So they don't want to add something in their life that is going to bring disturbance. Nobody wants to deal with that. No male, no female, nobody. Nobody wants to go from peace to disturbance to frustration to, now we're arguing because your communication style is just not good. If you have a problem with something, you like to argue, or you're used to arguing and you didn't really work on it. You don't think before you speak, whatever the case may be, because thinking before you speak is crucial. It really is crucial. We all have the ability to decide how we choose to communicate. It does not matter if it strikes an emotion in you. If you slow down and think about how you feel and convey it in a way that is not disrespectful, but it also gets the message across, you give that person now to respond in the same manner. And if they're not responding in a nice, calm manner, in the way that y'all can get it hashed out and get back on the same accord, then it might not be the right person. But again, it's never going to be perfect. The ideal situation isn't perfect. If your goal is to be in a godly relationship, God will add those things onto you. Seek the kingdom of God first, and He will add everything else onto you. So if your desire and your goal is to meet a kingdom spouse, it is possible. But you have to make sure that you ask yourself, are my expectations in alignment with what's in the Bible? Should I be seeking a partner based off of how much they make? Or should I be seeking them based off of how much they love God and how they live their life? Make sure they're responsible, structured, a good parent, a good person. Someone that you would be like, I could see myself being led by this person. And as a man, like, hey, I could see this woman being someone that I could trust. This is not impossible. It's not impossible. And I want everybody to experience what it feels like to meet someone that has you to the point where you're like, it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Because if you go back in my videos, I was talking about this, and then one day I was single, the next day I met the person, and God doing what He does, it accelerated at a way that it was just natural. And we all know, when you know, you know. When you know, you know. When you know, you know. I'm pretty sure anyone that's watching this video, they've been through enough scenarios that you have a really good idea of what your expectations are of somebody in a relationship with. You have a really good idea of what you don't want to deal with anymore. And you should have a really good idea that, hey, bad communication, toxic habits will ruin a relationship very, very fast. So if toxic communication is out the door and you've been working on communication, if your level of responsibility, structure is in check, you've been praying to God fervently and with expectation that He will actually do it. Again, believe that He will do it for you. Okay? You're not out there dating 15 different dudes, or men doing the same thing, dating 15 different women, just because you like attention. If you're like, all I need is one person, God, if you give me one person, I'll give that person my undivided attention. I think the dumbest thing somebody, you can say what you want, but they're like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You're confusing yourself. You're confused. You feel like you're missing out on so much that you need to talk to so many people at once. And then guess what? At the end of the day, you don't end up with none of them. It's like, why would God give you somebody good for you to just treat them like they're not worth it? Oh, well, I'm not sure about this person. So I got to make sure I keep this person on the side. Hey, you have the right to do that. But see where that gets you. When I came in contact with this person, once I prayed to God, I was like, God, give me confirmation. He gave me confirmation. Any and everything else was gone. And that was before we were in a relationship, because I was like, I want to have this person's undivided attention. I'm going to give them my undivided attention. That way I can get to know them. That way I can see exactly what God is putting in place here. And it was amazing. You don't need all that. When you're doing that, you're confusing yourself. You're second guessing yourself. You're like, oh, this person does this. This person does it. This person makes this. He has a house, or she does this and that, or she looks a certain way. Stop. For guys, you're just wasting money, because you're just wasting money. I know even if you like, well, I got the money. Well, you could be using it on something else. Help some people out in the city or something. Do some good with it. You know, for a woman, hey, I know free food and free times out and things like that are great. But having that one person that you're like, this was worth the wait for is even better. It's even better. So I'm gonna end saying, pray. And then you're like, oh, I've already been praying. Good. Now, pray for God to expose anything internally that you feel that you need to be working on, so that way you can be ready for that person. Because for me, I felt like he's tested me so many times where I could have settled, where I could have, chose to just satisfy myself, this and that. But I chose to take the high road and be like, you know what? I want to be a husband. And I want to do whatever it takes to show God that I'm ready for that person. And so, again, God would only give you what he feels you are ready for. So for me, he felt that I was ready for it. So he's giving it. So I know you're like, well, I've been waiting for years. Well, maybe there's something that you need to be working on. Because again, he's only going to give you what he knows that you won't mishandle. Because anything that you mishandle, you will lose it. Whether it's a job, relationship, money, a car, whatever the case may be, anything you mishandle, especially that he gives you, he will take it back. He will protect people and things from you. So, keep that in mind. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope everybody stays safe, stay in good health, and just continue to work on ourselves. Like I said in my last video, start looking at your talent, start looking at your capabilities, really start exploiting all these great qualities that God has put inside of us. There's no reason. People are turning side hustles into full-time jobs. Their side hustles are making more than their full-time job ever even thought to give them. God just wants you to put in the work and he will do the rest. It's not going to be easy. I'm very tired. I've been working hard all day doing what I need to do. But you got to have the discipline. Because once he knows that you have the discipline and the consistency, elevation comes. He'll bless you with more. So prove it to him. Prove it to him. That's why God does not want us to fail. His reputation is on the line. We are his children. So when we fail, what do people say? See, this is why I don't pay attention to God, this and that. So he does not want that. He wants you to succeed. He wants you to find a kingdom partner if that's what he's called you for. But I'm pretty sure if you're looking at this video, you're like, well, I'm obviously not called to be a single, because otherwise I wouldn't be paying this any attention. So he wants to give you someone special. He wants to bless you with someone that has pure intentions, a good heart, not spoiled by the world's expectations and all this dumb crap that you see on social media. Stop paying attention to that stuff. It's not helping you. Just stop. And I want that for you as well. So until next time, y'all.